You know what time it is. It's your favorite social media coach, Melle Howard. Coach Melle in the building with your favorite cool uncle, Uncle Flood, and they're going to take you inside the game. So sit down, relax, get your favorite beverage, and hang as they take you across the SWAT, especially in Southern University football and professional sports as they talk Monday Night Football here on Inside the Game. All right, let's get into it.
What up?
What's happening? That's happening. She said, damn, fly guy, I'm in love with you. The Casanova legend must have been true. I say, by the way, baby, what's your name? She said, I go by the name of Lois Lane, and you can be my boyfriend. You surely can. Just let me quit my boyfriend called Superman.
Well, welcome to the show.
That's how we doing it today. That's how we doing it.
I am so glad that your day has allowed you to do it like that, because my job tried to take me under today. I am looking at a sheet full of all kind of stuff that I still got. So I'm glad that you're feeling it. I'm feeling
it. Either it was doing like that today, or somebody would have had to go to the hospital. I heard somebody. So I'd rather be singing the lyrics from Rapper's Delight than having to deal with the judge and the jury.
Yes, and yes, because yes. Oh yes. So I'm glad that Rapper's Delight is on your mind today. I mean, so we have concluded most of our Jaguar sports outside of baseball and softball for the year. So I want to just start by giving a shout out to our bowling team for competing super tough since we last have been on air. Like championships, we didn't finish the job and win the tournament championship, but I think they had an amazing season. They continue to build an amazing program. Shout out to Purview, who ended up winning the SWAC bowling championship. So that's what I just want to. My first words is to the SWAC bowling team. Shout out to y'all for an amazing year. So what's on your mind, Unc?
And I just want to shout out to the bowling team, shout out to the women's basketball team, shout out to the men's team, shout out to everybody at Southern for Jagathon that they just had this past weekend or this past Friday. Shouts out to them. Shouts out to the city of Baton Rouge, to the state of Louisiana for coming through and voting no. Way to show up at the polls and do the damn thing. Shouts out to my man Melle Howard, because he getting it done on both ends of the stick. He rooting on his team and he kicking ass in the field of education and making sure the outcomes are better for our children in Louisiana. So shout out to you, nephew, for doing the damn thing, because that's what we try to do. Shout out to Wiley and Roxy for making this damn show happen and look so good and be so damn fly every damn week. We Grow People is the name of the company. They are our special sponsor, and they have helped us grow the show. So shout out to Roxy and Wiley for doing their thing. Reach out and touch them at 225-627-1247. That's 717 Florida Boulevard, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70816. So check them out, because they make Inside the Game grow, and they make people grow at We Grow. So check them out.
Come on, marketing director, advertising connoisseur. I love it. No, I really, to Unc's point, I think the election of this weekend was really a message. I know we come here to talk sports, but I do believe that was a sign that the people are not going to just sit idly by and accept nonsense from this administration. And so April the 14th is the kicking off of our Louisiana legislative session. So stay tuned. If you have social media, follow your important people that you keep up with. But April 14th is how we continue this fight, because they did not win this election. I know that they're going to try to move some crazy things through the legislative cycle where they have the supermajority and people don't have necessarily the right to vote legislation down, but you can't advocate against certain pieces of legislation. Yes. So
let them know you'll vote their ass out of there if they vote for anything crazy. Let them know that Louisiana is 37% African American, and there are another 25% of non-African Americans who will vote with us, and we are activated and we are ready to go. So get out and make sure they know if they do something crazy, or when they do something crazy, we're showing up at the polls in droves. So let's make that happen. And I got a special shout out to George Soros. Can you send me some of that money you supposedly sent these people to in this election, George? George, because that's what they said, that you've been sending money, and I want a check. Okay, so I do this political thing too. We have a really good show here. And we're looking for sponsors, George. So George, if you need some money, if you want to send some money to sponsorship, hit us up, George. That's what they said. You sending money, so hit us up, please.
Listen, they did say George was sending money. So George, you got money for us too. Let's send it out there. So I guess we have a couple of things. I don't know where you want to start, Uncle. So we're in the middle of March Madness. So I guess we could start March Madness, then go over to spring football, talk a little baseball, softball, and then get out the people away for the night. So as we all know, I am a huge LSU women's basketball fan. Lots of things to talk about on that front. First, LSU was defeated, unfortunately, by UCLA on Sunday, so they will not be returning to the Final Four in Tampa this weekend. There was a press conference post-game, like all games, and so the viral moment, I guess, is there was a question that was asked by a reporter.
Yes, I know who the reporter is.
There was a question asked by a reporter, and basically he said to Coach Mulkey that you have lost 2 straight Elite Eights. She responded and said, "Is that good or terrible?" He said, "Terrible." And she said, "How many have you won?" And he said, "None." And so that has been the clip that people have taken and with to create this.
In his defense, he's only like 23 or 24 years old. He's new at the gig.
He's new at the gig. I thought it was a fair question. I don't. The response was that wasn't a good response to that.
Yes.
But so people are using it to create whatever culture that they want with Kim Mulkey. And so my question to you today, Unc, is when you think about the transfer portal, when you think about coaching, what is the right style of coaching, or what do you think the transfer portal and all of these insights have done with coaching and what we experience with student athletes today?
Well, it's definitely changed the game of coaching, because it's what coaches used to be dictators. Whatever they said went. They could take a scholarship from a kid, they could send a kid packing, and they could take another job and leave a group of kids at a school, and there was nothing they could do about it. There was no retribution, nothing could happen. But now there's been a leveling of the playing field. The kids have some power. A lot of people don't like that. I'm a fan of Kim Mulkey. I know a lot of people, in particular in the African-American community, are not fans of Kim Mulkey, but I have a unique understanding of Kim Mulkey, because I know people get on her about the Brittany Griner thing and all of that. But I think I won't go into the intricate details that I know about it, but I think if you knew the details of the story, it would give you a much more even perception of who Kim is. There's a reason why a lot of those young ladies, I should say, and not girls, a lot of those young ladies are fiercely loyal to her and care about her deeply. To be someone who was raised outside in the suburbs of Hammond, and to play at Louisiana Tech, she's not what she presents at all. She's not what she presents at all, and there's a reason why she can go in the portal and she can get the girls that she gets to come to LSU. And I just think that the portal has completely changed how coaches handle players. It's become a business deal. The thing is, my issue with the portal, and most people don't know this, is that when you do an NIL deal, coaches can still make you a lot of promises, but up until about a month ago, it was actually illegal to sign an NIL deal with the schools, directly with the schools, with the cooperatives. It was illegal. It basically was by word of mouth. That's intensified the portal, because now so many schools have reneged on NIL deals, and young men and women have jumped back in the portal because of that. We saw at UNLV where the quarterback quit in the middle of the season because they hadn't brought forth his NIL money. We've seen that time and time again. I have a good friend of mine who I grew up with. His son left the school because the school didn't fulfill its NIL commitments. And so all of those things play hand in hand. It's as far as the portal, it's a hit and miss, and you just have to take your chances in there. Pretty much, if you aren't playing at one school, and the only thing you can put up in terms of video in the portal for film for people to see is practice film, you probably either you need to stay where you are if it's possible for you, or you probably need to attempt to transfer down or walk on a lower level. So
yeah,
there's so much going on in there.
so much. And because speaking of the transfer portal in basketball, as you know, Scooter, as they like to call him.
That's my son walking in the background.
Hey, son. Scooter, as they like to call him, who played basketball for Southern for seasons, from former Scotlandville kid, left us, ended up signing with UTSA. He is also now in the portal.
How many years of eligibility does he have?
I'm assuming.
Good luck to the kid.
I'm assuming 6 because this seems to be like almost like his 5th school in like 5 years. And I think that's one of the things that like I love the portal. I think student athletes should have options, just like coaches who can like move around for like multiple things. I think student athletes should have these options. But I do believe that the portal has crushed certain student athletes to feel like if there is one thing that does not go your way, you immediately are leaving institutions seeking something that's not always there. And so in this case, it seems like Scooter is a talent like no other, but it seems like he cannot find the rightful fit for his talent. I mean, he is a great athlete, but he is like in the portal every year. It seems like he's in the portal.
Scooter may be the problem.
Yeah.
Scooter may be getting in his own way. I read about that, and I know he said that they didn't, once again, one of those things where they didn't follow through on NIL. And I think this is one of those things with the portal. If I'm a coach and as talented as Scooter is, I'm not taking Scooter in my program.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I'm not willing to take that chance. And I think out of desperation, UTSA took him, and I just, and they didn't fulfill the NIL duties or didn't fulfill their promises, and he decided to get out of there. But my question, there's going to be a coach that's going to take him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a tap, and what I'm hoping for him, for his sake, is that there is a coach out there that will take him, a coach that will be
Texas Southern. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
a coach that will be able to pour into him and deal with that side of him, because there are student athletes all the time that get like third chances and finally find that coach who can like really work them out. But it's just unfortunate. I mean, this man has played all over college basketball, and it seems like every year is something. But to be so talented, I wish that these student athletes could have like, I don't know, guidance, trainings for like just not athletic stuff, like mentorship outside of the game and mentorship in life. And there's so many athletes that are talented who never reach their highest potential because of like things that I believe are solvable through mentorship.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I want to do. Really, I want to start reaching out and mentoring younger, these student athletes. I come from a family of student athletes. My father was a student athlete. I was a student athlete. I come from a family. I understand some of the things. We're navigating new areas, but there are some of the things that are just the same. And one of those things is when you choose a place, why are you choosing that school? Because a lot of kids are choosing schools for the wrong reason. They're not choosing it because it's a good fit. They're not choosing it because from a personal standpoint that you want, that it's somewhere you want to be. They're strictly choosing it based on sometimes the best NIL deal.
Yeah.
And it's like with anything in choosing a job. You want a job that pays you the right amount of money, but sometimes the company just isn't a fit for you. Yep. And so that company that maybe have the highest salary may not be the place you want to be, because you'll end up being miserable, and because it's not a fit for you. The company atmosphere, the structure, the ability to achieve in the company, the ability to move up in the company, all of those things have to be considered. you know, the responsibilities that you're taking on. It's the same way when you're choosing a school, and whether you're taking the NIL money, they might say, yeah, we're going to give you this much in NIL. And you have to look at whether you're dealing with people of integrity. Because let me tell you something, and this might piss some people off. Some coaches don't have a lot of integrity. And in particular in basketball is a sport that a lot of coaches really lack integrity, because basketball has been doing NIL for 40 years. Before any other sport was doing NIL, college sport, basketball was doing NIL under the table for years through shoe companies and everything else. I mean, Will Wade literally said on tape that $350,000 in cash should have been enough for Javonte Smart. $350,000. Look at my face, people. Look at my eyes. $350,000. Zion Williamson reportedly, his family got $500,000 in cash in a duffel bag. That is what. So when you're dealing with college basketball, it's a whole different animal from football. Football, you get a few dollars, you get a Dodge Charger or whatever the car is for that period of time. You know, it used to be Mustangs, then it was Dodge Chargers. Back in my day, you could get you a Jetta. If you got you a Jetta, you was a baller.
Like a Volkswagen Jetta?
Volkswagen Jetta back in the day. If a school offered you a Volkswagen Jetta, you were the man. If you got offered a Volkswagen Jetta, you were the man.
Okay.
You were definitely the man.
You are definitely aging yourself, because when was this?
Like in the late 80s? Like if there was a certain level, like if you would get like the big, the for sure pro players, they would get generational cars. They would get like a Trans Am or a Camaro. If you were, to show you the difference, the best football player at LSU in the late 80s, early 90s.
Of course, that is
Look. Look, the best football player, show you this between football and basketball. The best football player at LSU in the 80s and 90s drove a Ford Mustang 5.0, which was a cold car back in those days. The best basketball player at LSU drove a BMW 5 Series. So do the math. And I'm dating myself. This is late 80s, early 90s.
You are.
But that's the difference. That's the difference. That's the difference between basketball and football. In football, you get a Mustang and you a high dollar. If you were the man, like if you were the dude that was like today it would be called a 3-star, 4-star, and you got a Jetta, everybody knew, he the man. He got a Jetta. He play ball. Such and such bought him a Jetta. You was the man. If you got any kind of foreign car, you was the man. I'm just laying it out how it used to be back in the day. If you got a foreign whip, but basketball was always different. Basketball players, I can remember my homeboy, and I'm not going to call his name. I remember he showed up he left school, left high school. He didn't even graduate from high school. He went and got his GED. After the basketball season was over, he disappeared, went and got his GED and went to JUCO. When he showed back up in Baton Rouge with a car, he had a brand new Toyota Supra, which in those days, you might as well have showed up in a Lamborghini. You showed up.
What kind of Toyota?
A Toyota Supra. I don't even know if they make Supras anymore.
No.
But look, that's how rare the car was. It was I'm trying to give you something that would be current. That's a car that's made by a regular car maker, a familiar car maker, but everybody doesn't have one.
Yeah. Like
it was the equivalent to that. He showed up with all the bells and whistles in it. If you had the Technique systems and the CD player and everything with all the sound. He had all the bells and whistles in that thing.
In his Supra.
Toyota Supra. I think they still make them. It's just not on the level that they used to be. But the Toyota Supra was like the high-end sports car for Toyota at the time. Like I said, a Toyota Supra probably in those days cost $40,000, which in those days was a lot for a car. You know what I'm saying? That's probably $100,000 car now. So I'm just trying to give you some ideas of what the difference between basketball and football. Give you an idea. Just bring it current. McNeese, Will Wade. The reason McNeese got to be so good is not only were they paying Will Wade an exorbitant amount of money for a coach for a school like McNeese. Mm-hmm. I think they were paying Will Wade $375, somewhere close to that, $400,000 a year. It escalated with bonuses and stuff. But they had put together a collective to pay NIL money where they were paying out close to, I want to say close to $500,000 for a basketball team. Wow. So that's why McNeese had the last 2 years have been so good. And for all of that they put into it, they won one NCAA game. Guess who's won one NCAA game in the last 30 years too? Southern.
Listen, because I mean that's crazy because they saying that his base salary was split in half, and so in essence, you had the school paying some, similar to I guess what they do at LSU, and then the foundation paying some. Which in essence, though, he was bringing home $700,000 a year to coach at McNeese because they said they split it $350 and $350.
I think they split it. I don't think they split. I think he was bringing home a total of $350, and with bonuses he made $400.
Wow.
Yeah. The foundation paid $125, $175, and the school paid $175. I think that's the way it was. He wasn't bringing in $700,000 a year to coach at McNeese, but that because his
he was. I say because if he was,
because his total contract was like over 4 or 5 years. It was like $1.2 million over 4 years, something like that, 4 or 5 years. So that would be about $350 a year over 5 years. And they knew he wouldn't live out the contract. They knew he wouldn't stay if he won. He was going to be out of there. DeFranc says the players also trusted Will Wade that he was going to get their pay. Exactly. You got to have because these coaches and these collectives will tell you anything to get you to sign on the dotted line, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to follow through with the payment. Will Wade actually got his players paid.
Well, I don't know. These people said so according to I'm gonna drop this article in the chat. Like, I just know they weren't paying Will Wade this kind of money. But according to MagneseSports.com, it says that Will Wade signed at a Pack Legacy Center on Tuesday afternoon. The Direct Athletics announced the signing of Will Wade to a new 5-year contract that will pay him a record $700,000 per year. Plus incentives. What kind of?
When did he sign that?
So I'm gonna drop this article in the chat for the viewers. But this was apparently the last. This was the last contract he signed. This was on February 6th of 2024 with the buyout.
Oh, okay. That was
this new contract.
Okay.
And
that's a possibility.
So if they were gonna pay him that much, NC State must really drop the bag.
Well, think about it.
I mean, it's a better program. You can bring more.
An ACC program is going to pay $1 million at minimum for a coach.
Yeah,
that to me, that's a crash. That's a crash dummy move to pay Will Wade $700,000 to coach basketball at McNeese to get one win in the NCAA tournament. That's a crash test dummy move.
They, and to DeFran's point, players trusted Will Wade. So when Will Wade was the coach at LSU, I was on the school board in Baton Rouge, and so we had an opportunity to go to breakfast. And so him and I kept a casual conversation, cordial relationship, and talked about how LSU could support the district, et cetera, et cetera. But he really was a likable guy. Like it was like people give him such a I mean, whatever happened with him or whatever, but he was a likable guy. I can see why kids or student athletes because he really was a likable guy. He had a lot of nice things. His wife was nice. His family was nice. Like everybody just really genuine. And so, yeah, he'll definitely be back in the SEC at some point. To the front's point.
Will Wade is a winner. He understands the players. He can relate to them. NIL basically helps a guy like Will Wade because he's already a cool guy. He's a player's coach, and now he can say, I'm going to make sure you get this amount of money. I'm not like these other guys, and I have the track record to prove it. I'm going to make sure you get paid. We're going to win a lot of basketball games. We're going to go to the NCAA tournament and all of that good stuff. And you can trust Will Wade because, after all, Will Wade has been doing this for years.
Yeah. I think LSU, I think they jumped the gun, too. I think that was a reactionary decision.
Well, you have to look at the full scope of it, though. Think about it. Everything that was going on around LSU at that time. You had the scandal going on with Les. You had the scandal, the sexual harassment scandals. You had the lawsuits going on. You had the 8 athletic directors being run out and getting into it. So you had a lot going on. And then on HBO, you have your basketball coach being recorded by the FBI saying that he was giving a guy $350,000 in cash.
No, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But I mean, the reality is he was in many ways, the test dummy, in my opinion, for like gotchas, and also set the foundation for what's the world we live in now, because they were like, wait, you got coaches out here doing this behind the table, so let's figure out how to get this above ground so we can at least get something, because it's gonna happen. And so that really was, hey, you legendary, Will, in my book.
He was 2 years. He was 2 years ahead of the curve.
2 years ahead of the curve.
I can say this. Y'all not old enough to say this, and I don't want to throw y'all in the water. But hell, Dale Brown and they were doing that years and years ago. You tell me this. I love my man, and he probably gonna look at me crazy, but he gonna have to laugh at this. I love my man Rudy Macklin, but why the hell would Ron Abernathy and Rudy Macklin, who's one of the top All-Americans in the country, leave Kentucky to come all the way over and play at LSU, who had no basketball history? Why would he leave Louisville, Kentucky, home of Louisville State, home of the Kentucky, home of the UK, University of Kentucky, North Carolina up the road, all of these schools, and that man came to the Deep South to play for LSU that had other than Pistol Pete Maravich, you knew nothing about LSU basketball. Dwayne Scales, you probably don't know who Dwayne Scales is. I'm talking about the 1979 LSU Final Four team. Dwayne Scales was from New York. Why the hell would Dwayne Scales come all the way from Brooklyn, New York to play at LSU?
Yeah.
A 6'9" power forward who could jump out of the gym from New York to come play for a dude from Montana coaching in Baton Rouge in 1979. Come on, man.
Well, that you have a point. You have a lot of points. And that's So we will. Yes, that's always interesting. Like
I want to take a break.
The people, they've been doing it. 79 is before my time. I wasn't even thought of.
I'm just I was a 10-year-old kid, and I'm like, why are these dudes coming to LSU? I mean, it's good at LSU, but why are these dudes coming from Kentucky and New York? And Willie Sims was from New York. All of these great players who played on that team came from across the country, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. Your coach gets busted in the airport, if I remember correctly. Your coach gets busted in the airport with, was it $20,000 in cash in his suitcase, in his luggage, in 1980, 1979, 80,
And this was
somewhere around that
before
time.
the 9/11 screening that you go through now.
Yes, yes, man. This money thing, in particular in college basketball, has always been a part of it. Hell, Southern brought my man Frankie J. Sanders in 1976 Cadillac convertible back in the day. So anything goes.
No, well,
Y'all don't know who Frankie J. Sanders is? Look him up.
well, that is. I love it. So, couple things to wrap up our basketball conversation for the men's Final Four. We have Florida versus Auburn, Houston versus Duke. Who you got taking it all in the college basketball rank? We have all number one seeds this season in the Final Four.
All number one seeds. I've heard several people say, "Well, this is because of NIL and the portal and everything." But this is how this happens on the regular. Every so often, we'll get a number 2 seed or a number 6 seed. But most of the time in the NCAA tournament, it stays chalk because the best schools have always been the best schools. You see Auburn, but for the last 10 or 15 years, Auburn has been a good program. Houston has been to the Final Four. A lot of people like discount Houston because it's Houston, but Houston has been to the Final Four 8 times. Mm-hmm. They've been 8 times. They've never won a championship. They are probably the greatest team never to win a championship with Phi Slamma Jamma. This is their 8th appearance in the Final Four. So Houston is not a slob, but you look at these teams, if I have to pick one, the Dookie Blue Devils, man. As much as I dislike Duke and everything that they represent and stand for, they are playing the best basketball right now.
Yeah. I hate Duke. I hate everything about them. I'm a Kentucky fan, so I will never be a Duke fan. But I hope the SEC can take it. So they have to cancel each other out in the first game. I do like Coach Sampson at Houston. So I mean, if that's like a second tier, I will go SEC. Coach Sampson. Anybody but Duke.
Anybody but Duke. I don't want Duke to win, but I think they're playing the best basketball right now. That's my thing. Yeah. Benny Anders from Bernice, Louisiana, was a member of Phi Slamma Jamma, along with Larry Michaud, who was born in New Orleans but raised in Houston. I'm just giving y'all some game. I'm just giving y'all some game.
All of the prehistoric history because it predates.
I'm bringing y'all up to speed. I'm just letting y'all know. Corey says I'm the official Southern University athletics official historian. I just have seen a lot, Corey. I literally went to my first Southern athletic event when I was 3 years old. Yeah. Went to my first football game when I was 6, but I went to my first basketball game when I was 3.
I just broke that thing.
Don't break it. Don't break it.
No, I was like such a child with the little chip clamper, just whatever. Anyways, yeah. So I think we can transition now into our other topic for today. So it is springtime.
Well, while we're transitioning, before we transition, let's let everybody know that Inside the Game is brought to us by Southern University's Office of Enrollment Management.
Yes.
That's the first one. The Office of Enrollment Management. So it's that time for students to be getting in high school students to be getting in school, to trying to get in school. So check out the Office of Enrollment Management at su.edu and Office of Enrollment Management. Check them out. And check out my man, Jarvis Antoine. I talked to Jarvis Antoine. My man had told me that his social medias and his website has been blowing up since he's advertised on the show. Since he's become a sponsor, he says he's gotten great results. So for all you other people out there who are listening, if you don't believe what's going on, ask my man Jarvis Antoine. He'll tell you the Antoine Law Firm. Y'all check him out at the Antoine Law Firm. Jarvis Antoine. Shouts out to him and to my man at Event Center 91, my man Rob Williams. Y'all check him out, Event Center 91, and check him out. Now, we can make a transition because that's what we do here at Inside the Game. Tramel, tell them where we going next.
Well, first, Edwin just put in the chat, academic signing day was this past Saturday. Shout out to Academic Signing Day. I am so glad to see that it is still going on. Fun fact, the first ever Academic Signing Day was brought to you by Coach Melle in Carlton. So we put together that program and he's still taking it on. And it's so good to see. We did it as a response to Athletic Signing Day and felt like we're coming for a school should also have the same powers and privileges that student athletes got. So shout out to Academic Signing Day. Love it. Love to see that still going. We are transitioning to spring football. So before we go to our beloved Jaguars, the rumblings on Gramblin's campus this past weekend. So they had their spring game, and there is a lot of talk about our.
I heard JT said to throw the football.
About our former quarterback Xavier T.
Is that some kind of great? Did they have to rub the crystal ball to know that JT said could throw the ball? Nobody ever said JT said couldn't throw the ball. Nobody ever said that JT said was a bad quarterback. He just didn't fit at Southern at this particular moment. JT said is probably going to go to Grambling and light it up. Because as the Grambling people have discovered, JT said can throw the football.
Well, you answered my question before I could even ask. So my question was about Grambling. How do you think the fit for Zay T-Set will be at Grambling?
Zay will be just fine at Grambling. Zay can make all the throws. He can do everything that's necessary to be a successful quarterback. It's just going to be about transitioning to the game and making it happen in live action. There's nothing wrong with Zay T-Set. Zay T-Set just didn't fit at Southern, and particularly what Southern wanted to do. But I think it could have worked out. I think it was probably a little bit of impatience on both sides, but I think it could have worked out. Zay decided it couldn't work out for him. He went to Grambling. No, I mean, it is what it is. But the fact that Zay T-Set can throw the football is not a shocker, and I think it goes deep into the state of Grambling fandom.
Yeah, no, I believe you, Unc. I think that it was impatience on both sides. I truly believe. I used to say this all the time from the first day he stepped foot on campus. Like, this is his football team. He will be great at Southern. But of course, with the opportunity to move and transfer and all of this stuff, you have power as an athlete. And so sometimes I think we miss out on that opportunity to like really sprout where we are and plant it to figure out what's next. But I wish the kid well. I think he's a great kid. And I think that, I wish him luck, all except for that last Saturday in November.
There it is.
And it is what it is, because it is what it is. But switching gears to our Jaguars, coming off of last season, what many will be or called a disappointing season. I don't think it was disappointing. We didn't win the championship, but I do believe that we made some strides. It's springtime, spring game, April the 12th. What are you looking for out of our spring football? And then what are your hopes for the upcoming season?
It's spring again. Everybody knows it's spring again. I'm looking for offensive and defensive line play. I'm looking at running back because that's a position that we are depleted. I'm looking at running back, but I know for a fact we have running backs that were sitting out. So we're going to be okay. We're going to be fine there. But mostly I'm looking at offensive, defensive line. I'm looking at cornerbacks because we're replacing cornerbacks. Rodney Johnson, who was a senior, he graduated, still had a year eligibility left. He transferred to Louisville. He got into Portland, ended up in Louisville. So we're going to have two new cornerbacks coming in. And, we're going to have to find some guys who can play. So I'll be paying attention. But that's mostly I'll be looking in the trenches, looking at the cornerback position. And from cornerback, I'll be looking at the linebacker position, seeing what we're doing there.
Yep. Same thing. I think offensive line, defensive line play is continuously the thing. I mean, I always feel like, spring football is like one notion of what's out there, but I mean, there's still so much time to build. And I mean, so it's not the greatest indicator of what success or success won't look like in the season. But I'm happy that we're playing football, like even in the springtime. Quarterback play. Before we go to quarterback play, somebody asked about Kendrick Grimes, and I think he just
I was going to ask you, what do you want us to say about it? She said, Charlana said, speak on Kendrick Grimes. What about it? I tell you, if you tell me what you want to know, I could maybe go more in depth, but I can't tell you anything unless you ask me what you want.
Yeah, I think when the transfer portal and all of these different rules of eligibility came around, when players first started to do this, people thought there was an indication of what was happening with the program. I don't believe that because players get in the transfer portal that there's any indication of what's happening in the program. Kendrick graduated, if I'm not mistaken. So
Kendrick Grimes was not even eligible when the portal first opened. Yeah. He didn't become eligible until the JUCO rule that they just passed in April came into effect.
Yeah.
Kendrick Grimes was a graduate. He wasn't even eligible when the portal first opened. What made him eligible for the portal was when they passed the rule about kids who went to JUCO getting their year eligibility back.
And they made it
yeah, that's what made Kendrick Grimes eligible for another year. Yeah. By that time, Kendrick, he had gone on about his business. He had graduated from school. He's going on about his business. Yeah. And I'm sure he may have contemplated coming back and playing at Southern, but why?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, you see it all the time. You see it across sports where kids play 4 years at an institution and come back for their last year of eligibility or whatever many years they have to play somewhere else. The option is available now. I mean, and so yeah. I don't see anything wrong. Like I said, in the beginning, it was an indicator of what was happening in the program. I think that's a lost sight now. Literally, you have players deciding, you know what, I want to transfer and playing time, all the things. So I don't think it's any indication of what's happening on our football field.
Exactly. And in particular with Grimes, like I said, Grimes graduated in December. He wasn't eligible to play football anymore.
Yeah, he was done.
He was done. His career was over with. Then you had a judge had him come back and give the ruling on players being able who went to JUCO. The initial ruling was just for that one player. Then they had to come back and make the ruling for everybody, make it possible for everybody. So by that time, I'm sure Kendrick Grimes had packed up his bags and had gone back to Houston or whatever he was doing. And he was like, man, I'll look into going back to Southern, but let's see what else is out there.
And I think another thing that's a part of this transfer portal culture is this idea that every single student athlete who enters the portal has to make this big post about, hi, Jaguar Nation, thank you for your time, and I'm entering the portal. And by the way, I also graduated 2 weeks ago. So it's also become a part of the culture that we live in.
Yes. Yeah. Well, these kids, it's a generation of kids who love the attention and the spotlight, and they're going to take any moment. And nothing's wrong with that. I love the attention and the spotlight too. I'm probably a little bit ahead of my time. I'm probably, but I look at kids. If people want to talk about a loss and it had nothing to do with what's going on in the program, a lot of people don't know Grimes is graduating. I don't know what he may be doing on campus, but he definitely got his degree. I've had that discussion with people in the program. I'll say this though. One of the people that we lost that people aren't really looking at, and this is a young man who graduated, Rodney Johnson. Rodney Johnson, the cornerback. A lot of people overlook Rodney. Rodney was number zero. I was gonna say he's number 0. Yep. Rodney Johnson is a 6'2" long arm cornerback who played for us, and a lot of people didn't know because teams had stopped throwing the ball Rodney's way. But let me tell you something. Rodney graduated and got in the portal, and let's just say he's at the University of Louisville, and from what I understand, Louisville gave him life-changing money to come to Louisville.
Yeah, I was happy to see. Though that Rodney, when he transferred, I wasn't happy. Obviously, never happy to lose a kid. But when he ended up signing with Louisville, it just shows folks about the talent, in my opinion, that exists within our conference. There are still talented people who play quote unquote bad football, as people like to talk about swag football. I never, adhere to that, but there is talent. And so when you have these players, there's a girl who played basketball, which played UAPB, who's now starting at the University of Alabama. There's talent within this conference across.
Definitely.
And so, yeah.
I take umbrage with people say, well, it's talent or it's coaching, and it's none of the above. There now, is there talent is there super duper talent at every position? No, but that's not the level of football that we play on, or that's not the level of basketball that we play on, or athletics, period. But are there talented people? Every school has talented people who are capable of playing at the next level. We keep talking about what's wrong with HBCUs in terms of the NFL. I use it as an example. We keep talking about what's wrong with HBCUs and why aren't HBCU players getting drafted. But this is what we're missing, and I know a lot of times it's the peripheral fans who have these conversations, or people who are basically pontificating on things that they don't know. But the issue to me is not with the HBCU, is not with the SWAC or the MEAC. The issue is with the NFL and their evaluating process and the business of athletics, the business of sport. That is the issue, because it's mighty funny that you could have a year where no HBCU players get drafted, but then you look on the roster and it's 20 or 30 HBCU players on a roster every year. So our players are making teams, which means they have the talent, but they aren't getting drafted because of the NFL draft evaluation policies and the way that they go about things. They will come in and look at a kid who's an HBCU graduate or HBCU player, and they're like, yeah, he meets the measurables, he can play, blah, 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 but we don't have to draft him. Let's see if we can get him in the free agency market. And they will say, hey, man, look, keep your phone by. We might take you in the late rounds. And then that's how they keep a kid on the line. And then they'll come in and say, well, we couldn't get you in the late rounds, but how about you come in free agency?
Yeah.
Because they can get it for cheaper, no guaranteed money, and you still get it a good player. So the problem, and this is, like I said, we overlook this all the time. The problem is not with the quality of talent in HBCUs. The problem is with the NFL talent evaluation and who's doing the evaluation. Who are the people who are doing the evaluation? And those are the things that we need to really examine in terms of how we talk about the NFL and HBCUs and the draft process, and really examine how many guys, because people get caught up in the draft, but the draft don't mean a damn thing if your name ain't on the dotted line come the first day of season. If you don't make the roster, that's when your money kicks in. Your money don't kick in during spring, during fall, during camp, during summer camp. You're getting paid a minimum at summer camp. Your contract does not kick in until you make the roster. That's when you really make it. So if you getting drafted in the 6th or 7th round and you getting cut, like our 49ers are notorious for it, the Saints are notorious for it, for drafting guys in late rounds and then cutting them for free agents. Some of the best players that the Saints ever had, Marcus Colston was a 7th round free agent. Some of those guys free agent picks. Look, that's what teams do. That's how they do business. So a lot of our guys make the teams as special teams players, or nickel and dime package players, because they are good enough, they're talented enough, but the teams have to have the bottom line makes a difference, and the teams don't want to set a precedent of going out and drafting HBCU players to make added value. Hey, we got to pay these SEC guys to flop more money to flop than we have to pay you to make the team. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah, I think I think we could have a whole show on the business of sports, and how it placates into some of the narratives that are out there around how we experience it, what people expect of it, expectations of it, and how we even talk about it. I think that's part of the issue, is just like, how do we even like carry out narratives around some of this stuff? Like I work a lot in education, and I talk to teachers all the time, and it's like the first indicator of how things are going is how you talk about your profession. And so how us as fans indicate or talk about the things that we spend and invest all this money on is crazy. But speaking of investing money, so as you all know, we will be playing
money.
First money, if you want to become a sponsor of Inside the Game, there's a way to do that. You can become a sponsor. We talked about how you can become a corporate sponsor, but you can also become individual sponsors of Uncle Flood or Coach Mel. This is how you do it. We're looking for new sponsorships for this upcoming season. So pop in, tap in, however y'all say it these days. That's it. But speaking of money, our first game, Southern University football, will be against North Carolina Central in Atlanta, Georgia on August the 23rd.
Yes.
We have seen that we have our host hotel now. So the host hotel for Southern University, we'll have all of this on a platform next week. But just to put it out there, the host hotel for Atlanta is the Atlanta Marriott Marquis. You can book your group rate for the Southern University Athletic.
That's the good luck hotel, baby.
That is the Good Luck Hotel, and that's where I was staying before they even announced the host hotel. I had a feeling that's what it was going to be. Also, they have released the host hotel information for our game against Fresno. We are going to Fresno this season, so mark your calendars for that too. Whatever that is. Hotel is a double tree at the Fresno Convention Center, as well as the Fairfield. Last thing about football season, going back to Atlanta, tickets also went on sale today. You can find the tickets at Ticketmaster.com. There is a pre-code for pre-sale VIPs, and the code is VIP. Section 9W has transferred to Section 125 in Atlanta. The band is sitting in Section 122 and 123. The game day color is gold. It is a gold rush NBA. So it is almost football season. We are literally, what is this? April, May, June, July, August. We have 4 months.
It's going down in the A.
We have 4 months
be there
until football season.
Lemon pepper wings and shoe models, baby. It's going down in the A.
And don't forget the hookah, because you don't have
the clear shoe mafia is in the building, baby.
You don't have Atlanta without clear shoes, hookah, and lemon pepper. So it is going down in Atlanta. But before we get out of here, I want to know your way too early SWAC championship predictions in football.
My way too early SWAC championships prediction in football is Alabama State versus Southern in the SWAC championship. And it finally, the championship game comes to A.W. Mumford.
I love it.
That is my way too early SWAC championship prediction. And my other not so way too early is that I will be at the Blue Flame for the MEAC SWAC Challenge, and I will be at Magic City getting me some lemon pepper steppers wings, and it's going down in Atlanta. So make sure you get there and bring your own clear shoes if you are a shoe model.
Yes, I'm screaming at Blue Flame. I'm screaming at everything Coach Unc is talking about as it relates to Atlanta. But I'm really excited about the SWAC MEAC Challenge. Last time we played in, and it was in like Orlando. Well, we played at home, and then we also had one in Orlando.
Yes.
Really excited about getting to Atlanta. I will literally, my way too early predictions are FAMU and SU on the bluff, as like Edwin has said. I just don't believe in Alabama State and nothing. But we are right on time. Teldrin said, hotel code, I am not on social media. Teldrin, I will have to send it to you because it's a pass key. I'm going to copy this photo and I'm going to send it to you, Keldrin. But yeah, so no, really excited about football season, really excited about what's to come. We will have a whole whatever getting ready for the upcoming season. But yeah, it is almost 7:00. We appreciate you guys for your support. Always.
Right. Don't forget, you can catch us on YouTube. Go to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. Inside the Game on YouTube. Make sure you go and check it out and like and subscribe. We're going to be posting clips through the week. Make sure you join us on Facebook. You can listen to us on KTTP 1100 AM in Alexandria, and you can download their app and listen to us whenever. Listen to us if I can get it out at any time on their app or join them and listen to it. The Marriott Marquis is the host hotel, but make sure you tune in to Inside the Game. And if you want to be a sponsor, hit Coach Melle up or hit myself up on either on social media. It's a lot of business people out there. Y'all hit us up and come in and be a sponsor, man. We're doing good things. We're going to expand the show and grow the show. Hit us up on Cash App to give us a donation. Don't make us lock the doors. Don't make us lock the doors.
Don't make us lock the doors. I love it. I love it. We need to put it on a shirt. Don't make us lock the doors.
Don't make us lock the doors. Come on now. Just send us something. Work with your people now. Work with your people. Hit us up. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all tuning in, the faithful who tune in every week. My man, Coach Melle. Y'all don't know how busy Coach Melle is, but he gets it done for the children of the state of Louisiana. Like I say, shouts out to my man, Coach Melle, for doing this thing. There's a reason I love working with him. He's my guy, and we're going to make this thing happen. We about to blow up the spot, but we need y'all to help. So make sure y'all come in with the sponsorships. Make sure y'all come in and support because we need it, because we want to grow the show. We're the best in the business, and we just want to get on a platform that shows y'all that. Y'all know. Y'all watch these other shows.
Well, I like all the shows. Listen, I'm the diplomat of the group. I like every other show. We are the best, but I do like every other show. And viewership.
I like the other shows too, but they're not as good as us. Y'all watch these other shows. What other show is as entertaining as us? Tell me. Everybody else wants to get up there and pontificate and tell you how great they are and how much they know. We just spit the facts and keep it moving and in a humorous way. What show is better than this? Plus, we look good. Come on now. Work with us.
This man is on it. But no, all things coach, all things Unc said. We look forward. We will be talking baseball next week. So we look forward to having you guys next week. Thank you so much for your participation. And Unc, send us out of here like you always do.
If the man upstairs says the same, we'll be back at the same time in the same place. Because as always, we'll take you inside the game.